Hey guys, welcome back to my awesome YouTube channel, and today we are going to do something very interesting. So all of you can see the Bing homepage on my computer screen, and there are certain wallpapers in the background over here. And since I find them very beautiful, what I'm going to do is I am going to download these wallpapers using Python on my machine, and I am going to set them as my wallpaper, and I'm going to make sure that the task happens daily. Alright then, this is my Visual Studio Code and I have written out a few points here. Because before we start to do anything, we should plan, because by failing to plan, we are planning to fail. So these are the high level tasks. Like, we have to fetch the wallpapers, we have to set the wallpapers as desktop background, and then we have to find a way to repeat them daily. And here I have tried to make the same tasks a little bit more granular. So it says that we have to find out how to get the wallpapers, use Python to fetch the wallpapers, save the wallpapers locally, and once the wallpaper is saved, use it as desktop background. And lastly, we have to automate the task and run it daily with the task scheduler. All right then. So to find out how to get this image, or say get the URL of this image, I can obviously go to console and I can look at the network calls and so on and try to find out from where this image is loading. But I'm not that keen on reinventing the wheel here, because I found this simple Stack Overflow question: is there a way to get Bing's photo of the day? So we have these URLs here, and if I click on this one, I see that I get a certain JSON response which has a key called images in it. So this one is for the United States, and since I am in India at the moment, let me just change it to IN. Okay, so I get some type of a URL over here. If I copy this and if I paste it ahead of bing.com, let me see what happens. And yes, very much indeed, I have this image which they are using in the background right on my screen. I can go here daily and save it, and then I can simply go here and use it as my desktop background. But that's really not the point. We want to learn something new here, so we'll try to do the same thing using code, and we'll try to automate this task. So I left this URL from here and I head to Visual Studio Code. Let me just call it Bing URL. I save this, and then I'm going to make use of a library. This is going to help us interact with URLs. So I say from URL lib.request, I need to import the function URL. Next, we are going to define a main method here, and for now we'll just say to simply pass, and then we'll do what we do in standard Python programs, and here we'll call the function main. Next, I am going to use this function to communicate with this URL. Let me get rid of the pass here, and let me simply call it Bing JSON response, and we will say URL open, and then we will give the Bing URL. The next thing we need to do is read whatever response we get, and show you what we have in here. Let me just print this Bing JSON response, and then I go ahead and run this file. And yes, this is the same JSON that we are able to see here. Okay, now to be able to parse this JSON, what I'm going to do is import a library called JSON. Alright, so having imported this library, I am going to extract this specific key from this JSON. So let me call it wallpaper URL, and I would say JSON dot load the Bing JSON response. And from this, firstly, I will use the key images, and from this array which is images, I am going to select item number 0, which is the item at the first position, and out of this I will be selecting URL. And now let me quickly print wp underscore URL. I run this file and let's see what we got here. Okay, we are getting a slight error here because the name of the function that we want to use is loads and not load, because load gives us bytes whereas loads gives us strings. Okay, so we can see that we have the path that we were looking for right here. Now, before proceeding further, there are two things to do. The first one is to see that what Bing URL we need to hit to be able to fetch this wallpaper. So let me call that Bing fetch URL, and let me the second thing that I want to do here is I want to set the local path where I want to save this file, or the name of the file when it will be saved locally in my system. So let me call it local file name. Okay, so seeing here, I see that my first 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 characters I can skip, and then I can skip anything that comes ahead of .jpg. So my local file name is going to be my wp URL starting from character number 0 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 and going up to where I find the string which is .jpg. And then I am simply going to append a .jpg at the end of this LF filing. Let me comment this, and maybe I could just show you guys both WP URL as well as LF name. Hit run. Okay, yeah, so here it is. This is the name by which this file would be saved, and that is what we exactly wanted. Okay, and the URL that I want to hit is bing.com, and then I just append this string ahead of it. So it will be bing.com plus wp underscore URL. Once more, maybe I can print this. So rpf underscore URL, and I hit run. Typo alert, it should be bf. I hit run. Okay, and we can see this URL here. Let me try to open it in my browser and see what happens. So I copy it from here. And I paste it in my browser. Well, yes, I do see an image. You might be wondering why this image is different from this one. That is because we are using MKT as ENUS, whereas I am located in India. So let me change this here, and I can also go back here and change this in here. And when I again run this Python script, I might see a different image altogether. I have to copy this. Yeah, so this is the same image that we have on the Bing background today. This one is for India and the other one was for United States. So now we know what URL to get the image on. Now we have to save this image on our local system. And to do that, I have to call a function called URL retrieve, and I have to give it both the remote URL as well as the local URL. So just to show you guys that this works, I hope my spelling of retrieve is correct. Okay, the squiggly line is because I forgot to import this function, and as you can see that this retrieves a URL into a temporary location on disk, and this temporary location for us would be the same folder, which is this folder in my case, and the file will be named as this. I have in fact opened up this folder where I have the Python script and where I want to save this image, and when I run this, we again run into an error. What I feel here is that the URL needs to be qualified with http:// and when I run this, what happens? Okay, yeah, this time we can see that our file is created, and when I open this, I see an image, but this seems to be different from what we have there. And the reason for that is, guys, that since it is already 12 o'clock where I am, the image has changed, and this is the image that we were seeing yesterday. But like, that's fine, doesn't really make a difference to us. Okay, let's get back, and the last thing that we want to do here is that we want to set this image as our desktop wallpaper. Before I do that, I'll show you what my current wallpaper is. It's this cute owl, and now I am going to change it. Okay, for that I have to import a library called ctypes, and then I will simply come here and say ctypes.windll.user32.systems system parameters info w as e20 0, and then I give the name of the image, and then I again give 0. Now before we proceed further, this needs to be the absolute path and not the relative one that we have found here. For that we are going to make use of pathlib, and we can say maybe pathlib dot path dot absolute, and then we can concat it with the LF file name. Actually, before I do this, I would like to print this and check if this is what I want. So I'll go ahead and print this, and I can probably get rid of the other print statements, and I run this Python program. Okay, so since one of them is a string and the other is a Windows path, they don't concat. So let me transform this also into a string. Yeah, okay. So turns out we have a missing slash over here. So let's go ahead and add this. And yeah, I think so this will work perfectly for us. And yes, this image is in fact opening. So I'll maybe store this in a variable winpath, and I will use the same variable over here. You can get rid of the unnecessary braces, and if I run this program now, I would expect that my Windows wallpaper should change. Again, guys, typo error. Okay, let's click this again, And indeed, it did change. What happens when I change this IDX over here to say 2? Okay, I get an older image. I change the index to 1. I get yesterday's image. So this way you can like try to experiment with these parameters and see what happens. For now, I'll just leave it to 0. And yeah, our wallpapers are getting changed. The last thing that we would like to do here is that we would like to automate this process so that we don't have to come here and run the Python script daily. If I right click on my start button and go to computer management, I can see that Windows has a task scheduler in which I can create and schedule certain basic tasks. So if you want to run this program daily so that every day your wallpaper gets changed with the Bing wallpaper, you can just come right here, create a very basic task. You can name it something, and then you can tell when do you want it to be triggered and at what time you want it to be triggered and what action you want. In that action, we will simply be running this Python code, and you can schedule this and it will run every day and fetch you new beautiful wallpapers. And the last thing that I want to share here is that all the code that we just wrote is right here in this repo aedorado / bing -wp, and you can find it, you can fork it, you can star it, you can contribute to it, and I'll be really happy with that. So just go check it out, and that's it, guys. So if you found the content of the video helpful, do give it a thumbs up. If you find the content of my channel helpful, please click subscribe. You can hit the bell icon to never miss any new updates, and like always, thanks a lot for watching.